In Parsons from West Hendon Estate. West Hendon Estate, she's lived here for over 30 years, and basically the estate is in the process of being regenerated. 680 council homes being demolished in favour of 2,000 luxury apartments. Jasmin's currently living on a building site. She's been fighting against or for a fair regeneration for 15 years now, and we're going to talk to her about her experience. So tell us about the compulsory purchase orders that are on your home and your neighbours' homes and the recent public inquiry.
Well, compulsory purchase orders are basically a legal way of theft of people's homes. It ensures that the businesses and the council can take the properties away, even though people do, and we've raised legitimate arguments against that, which includes the culling of the communities, which we used to have a very good community, which we had over 100 different languages spoken on the estate. That's now being decimated quite quickly and quite easily. It's also broken up the security, which we used to have years ago. You could walk out, not bother locking your doors and that. Now you can't do that. In fact, the new builds which they're building have more problems with crime and that than us on in these builds.
Do you feel that community, because for me being here, I feel like, these council estates, your council estate is one of the last remnants of community that's left in the country, that's what they're aiming to rid us of, because together we're strong, and they want to decimate you as a community.
This was a garden estate. It was regarded as a garden estate because it was very green. It was just off the Edgware Road, so it was more like a village than anything else, and it was classified as a slum, purely and simply so that they get their hands on it. The other problem that we have is because Roger Boris continuously has been allowed to name all council estates as brownfield. So when they talk about redoing up brownfields, people don't realise
that there's loads of green space.
It's hundreds of thousands of people's homes which are now being terminated. In fact, this borough, although we have 550 homes, social homes, they're building 2,000 new homes. Yes, they are building 2,000 new homes, but they're only putting back 241 social homes, council homes, and that's only because we fought for them.
But are they council homes or are they housing association homes?
They are council tenants who then sit in metropolitan, their housing association homes, but the estate, although it's being built by Barrett's, is going to be run by Brams, who are a section of Barrett's. Mm-hmm. So Barrett's will still have it will still be gaining more money without actually having the obligations. The fact that that their council tenants, their council is now paying 3 times as much for the same properties as what there was before.
In terms of the rent?
In terms of the rent, the service charges, everything else.
Then the council tax as well has gone up, isn't it?
Oh, the council tax, you at least £1,000 a year. The council tax.
And
will
before?
go up. Well, before it was affordable for the people on here. Once the subsidies run out, you'll be seeing the people leaving in droves because they will not be able to afford to stay here.
They'll be priced out.
Because basically what they've done is privatise the homes. So
tell us a bit more about the public land that's lost and how much it went for.
Well, they sold it off at £3 at cost, and that was supposed to be that they were obligated to build 550.
So who's that? Barnet Council?
Barnet Council. The certain councillors behind closed doors never disclosed it because under the Localism Act 2012, that was an asset for the community, and they never gave us any notification that they was actually selling it. And the reason they sold it was because it was the only way they could kickstart this regeneration or decimation. So they sold it for £3 at cost when the land was currently worth over £14 million. It's now worth a lot more.
A different report said up to what, 40 million or?
That's because it accumulates as it goes along. But the problem is they've already sold that land, made their
For
profit
£3.
on that.
And what was their justification for that?
Well, they bought because at cost they were supposed to build 550 homes, which they agreed to at the planning application. But as soon as that had been agreed, they then had a viability study, which was then made, which then said they couldn't afford it. But the viability study is talked about public land, public housing with public money. But the only people who are not allowed access to that information are the public themselves. So
from 680 homes, only 241 get rehoused on the estate.
If we keep the pressure up, if we don't keep the pressure up, they will be dropping. They're still dropping. We are forced them up, the same as with the leaseholders. Again, they're supposed to be building all the way through. If we hadn't kept the pressure up, they was not going to build any homes for the leaseholders until they hit Marsh Drive, which would have meant that 2/3 of the leaseholders would have automatically been forced to sell up and go. So, and that hits why the compulsory purchase is a single market, which the homeowners are forced to accept the price which is given in that compulsory purchase order. And that boils down to one individual's interpretation.
What sort of value has that been compared to the new properties?
Well, it means that you can't afford the new properties anyway. You compare it with the 2-bed maisonettes, which was valued at 130,000, which within 6 months, after the pressure that we'd put on with the public inquiry, decided that it'd gone up to 217,000. Now, I can't find, and the council won't tell us anywhere, even in London, is that that any properties like ours have gone up that much, over 2/3 in price within that 6-month period.
And how much are the new properties? They're like, what, 450,000 for a 2-bed, are they? More?
420 for a 1-bed.
Look up Hendon Waterside. You see them there.
Yeah, well, 530 odd for a 3-bed.
Oh my goodness. So what happened to your local park?
The local park is where you see the Leaning Tower of Hendon sitting on it.
Right.
And the Tower of Pisa.
So how long have the residents been living in the estate?
Well, the residents, I mean, some are generations. Jackie, one of them
What's the
has
longest?
got grandchildren. Well, about in this area, about
Since
100
it's built,
years,
isn't it, people?
About 100, the generations, whereas you've got some generation lived here for over 100 years.
And what happens to the different types of people in terms of secure tenants and leaseholders?
Well, only the secure tenants will get a new property, but that's because the council had deliberately lied to us before they even got to as far as giving us the pledge, which we declared we was assured was a legal document and should have been a legal document, which they've been allowed by the government to totally ignore. And they continue to do that, and the current government continues them to allow to do that. The fact that they've been filling up the estate with non-secure tenants, what they classify as non-secure tenants, ensuring that some will be here for over 20 years, that they will not be entitled to a home. Now, the council turned around and said, well, okay, they was told this when they was moving on. Yes, we know that some of the later ones was, but it's now being guarded that if they did not accept that, they were termed as being themselves as intentionally homeless and therefore was not entitled to anything anyway. So they now have to sit here and wait, watch all these homes being built, knowing that they will never get one. And they will have to fight to even be able to have a social home.
And what's it been like for you living here during all the building works?
Living on a permanent building site with all the traffic and the hazards, the noise pollution, the light pollution, the dust. I mean, I've raised the issue of silicosis, which everybody seems to ignore. It's all very well Silic Khan going on about the pollution from the vehicles, which is bad enough, but nobody wants to tackle the real issue, which will be happening on all the regeneration site, is the dust.
I remember Jackie saying she had to dust every day, and she still couldn't keep on top of it.
Yeah, well, the dust actually gets into your lung bags and gradually turns them into cement bags, so they can't be used. So it's just as bad as smoking, if not worse. And we're being allowed to, and you've got a lot of children who have already got respiratory problems, and they're suffering this.
I'll have to bring
day
you
in,
some
day
air
out.
pollution tubes.
Yeah.
And in terms of the democratic process of everything that's happened and happening to you,
Well, the democratic process is gradual, and the more that you privatise it, the less democracy. They're always saying that, oh yeah, you're still a council tenant, you're moving into the private home, the housing association homes, but as soon as the resident raises anything, the council can't do anything because it belongs to a private company, and the whole of the housing stock is going private. So it's the privatisation of democracy. So housing won't have a democratic voice anymore if this continues.
all right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jasmin. Lovely speaking to you. And if you want to see any more, Jasmin, you can look on YouTube for The Estate We're In, a documentary made by Fran Doherty, and that's available on YouTube. Thank you.